Hello, it's Jim Hutchins for the Jerusalem Connection Spot Report for this week. As I come to you this week, we are seeing the Arab Spring blossoming, but not blossoming into a democracy as we had hoped and as many people said would actually take place. As a matter of fact, it's blossoming, if you could call it that, into a Muslim, Islamic, jihadist leadership wherever it's taking place, in Libya, in Egypt, Tunisia, Yemen. Last week, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia died. He was replaced by a hardliner. One cleric has said he'll offer $1 million to get another Israeli soldier kidnapped. There is a hatred of the Jews in the Muslim religion. It's embedded in their DNA. And I think what we see God doing, and God is in control. He has established His throne in heaven. His kingdom rules over all. He's setting up the events for the final countdown. And I think that's given to us in Zechariah chapters 12 through 14. This encompassing of Jew-hating Muslims will come to fruition. It will come to a culmination. And the scriptures speak of that. Zechariah 12 says this regarding Jerusalem: I'm going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding nations reeling. He says, Judah will be sieged as well as Jerusalem. On that day I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all the nations. All who try to move it will injure themselves. He says this, on that day, and incidentally, that term, that phrase, on that day or the Lord's day, is referred to some 17 times in these three chapters, Zechariah 12 through 14. It says of the leaders of Judah, I'll make them like a fire pot in a wood pile, like a flaming torch among sheaves, and they will consume right and left all the surrounding peoples, but Jerusalem will remain intact. That's a part of the day of the Lord. It's a season, it's just a period, and then that turns the world against Israel. The Jew haters of the world beyond Islam come against Israel. And it says in chapter 14, the day of the Lord is coming, when I will gather all nations to Jerusalem to fight against it. The city will be captured, the houses ransacked, the women raped, half the city will go into exile, but the rest of the people will not be taken from the city. Then Yahweh will go out and fight against those nations as He fights in the day of battle. On that day, His feet will stand on the Mount of Olives east of Jerusalem. There is a culmination, there is a build-up to this ultimate combat, ultimate devastation that takes place. As a matter of fact, it's during this time where Revelation chapter 9 says that there will be 1/3 of mankind is destroyed. That's 2 million plus people. But there will be a remnant of believing Jews, a remnant of believing Christians. And how will they be saved in the midst of all that? They'll be saved the same way that God saved Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they were tossed in the fiery furnace. It was so hot that those soldiers who stoked that fire were consumed by that fire. And yet it says of the three Hebrew children, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when they came out of it, the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was hair of their heads singed. Their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them. Only God can do that. Only the God of Israel, the God of the Christians, Yahweh can do that. And how will He do it? Jesus said this in Luke chapter 21, verse 36. He said, I want you to pray, I want you to be watchful, alert at all times with prevailing, beseeching prayer, that you may have the power to escape all that is about to happen and stand before the Son of Man. That's how the remnant will be saved. Count on it, believe it, pray it. Until next week, Od Yavo Shiloh, or until Messiah comes, Shalom Aleichem.